thank you very much. We had some amazing things happen today. As you know, my son is graduating from high school, and it looks like the judge will not let me go through the graduation of my son, who's worked very, very hard. He's a great student. I'm very proud of the fact that he did so well. I was looking forward for years to have graduation with his mother and father there, and it looks like the judge isn't going to allow me to escape this scam. It's a scam trial. If you read all of the legal pundits, all of the legal scholars today, there's not one that I see that said this is a case that should be brought or tried. It's a scam. It's a political witch hunt. It continues, and it continues forever. And we're not going to be given a fair trial. It's a very, very sad thing. In addition, as you know, next Thursday, we're before the United States Supreme Court on a very big hearing on immunity. And this is something that we've been waiting for a long time. And the judge, of course, is not going to allow us. He's a very conflicted judge. And he's not going to allow us to go to that. He won't allow me to leave here for a half a day, go to D.C. and go before the United States Supreme Court because he thinks he's superior, I guess, to the Supreme Court. We got a real problem with this judge. We have a real problem with a lot of things having to do with this trial, including the DA, because you go right outside and people are being mugged and killed all day long, and he's sitting here all day with about 10 or 12 prosecutors over nothing, over what people say shouldn't be a trial. So I just want to thank you very much, but that I can't go to my son's graduation, or that I can't go to the United States Supreme Court, that I'm not in Georgia or Florida or North Carolina campaigning like I should be. It's perfect for the radical left Democrats. That's exactly what they want. This is about election interference. That's all it's about. Thank you very much.
He's right, you know.
Yeah, he is.
I mean, everything he said, from it's a scam, it's witch hunt, and it's an election interference. And it is. I mean, the Supreme Court is the top court of the land.
Yeah, and everybody just ignores that, or at least everybody on the Democratic side, the leftist side, they all
do. They all do. Anyway, but our thoughts are with President Trump today as he goes into court for another day. Is this thing working? Welcome to the show, everyone.
How's it going?
It's going great. Can you tell how great it's going in America? Well, we're going to talk about it. We got a big show today.
So before we start the show, everybody, can you please do us a favor and share our show with all your friends? Also, stomp that like button and please follow or subscribe wherever you see the name Is This Thing Working? You're helping us to grow, and we thank you. We put you in the room, and in all things, man, all we ever ask is that you be informed and be engaged.
Awesome. Y'all can do that for us. I know you can. We love it. We love you. Thank you for showing up every day. We got a big show starting with Speaker Johnson was on Fox News this morning telling about these bills that's going to happen. We have a video. We want to hear you, and then we're going to add context later.
On Israel at this most desperate and important time. And that's the way it should work. Look, I think there's a lot of support for Israel, obviously, on the Republican side. Clearly, on the Democrat side, they have a real division over that. It's been pretty shameful, actually, that leading Democrats are turning their backs on Israel at this most desperate and important time. And then, of course, the inverse is true on the other side. Most of the Democrats, I think, are in favor of the Ukraine funding, and some of my Republican colleagues are more, a little less bullish on it. Let's say that. Look, I think there's a big difference between lethal aid, right, and some of the big humanitarian things. If you convert assistance to a loan, I think that's more palatable for people. But we'll break this down. Look, 68% of the Ukraine funding is going to replenish our own stockpiles. That is American jobs making American weapons. I think that's something that people understand and they'll support. But we'll see how all this plays out.
Mr. Speaker, I know.
What do you think about that? So Speaker Johnson goes on Fox News this morning to tell us that he's going to do single subject bills, and that 63% of this is going to come back to America for weapons.
Yeah, that's basically what he is saying. What his goal was to try to push these as standalone bills.
Yes.
And do it the way that the House procedure is supposed to be done.
Right. But I hear that ain't happening.
Yeah.
That Speaker Johnson has gone into conference with the GOP today, and they're trying to put it all together into one bill. So there are some PO'd representatives. For example, Representative Thomas Massey, he just told Mike Johnson in conference that I'm co-sponsoring the motion to vacate that was introduced by Representative MTG. He should pre-announce his resignation, as Boehner did, so we can pick a new speaker without ever being without a GOP speaker. You know, I totally agree with him. Good for him. You know, are there going to be more that's going to stand up?
I hope so. I hope so. And that's the bad thing with MTG. She come out there, and as much as I've had against MTG, at least she's trying to do the right thing here. But seems like she has gotten up to this point really zero support from anybody in this.
I know. No one has said anything, really.
Yeah.
Honestly. And I get Representative Matt Gaetz not doing it because he's the one that did McCarthy. He's like, oh, I don't want to be in front of everybody again. So I kind of get that. At the same time, where is everybody else? I mean, it looks to me, and a lot of the American people, I'm sure, agree with me, but it looks to me like something kind of backroom deal went on for Johnson to become speaker, because he has given every single bill, everything that's come to the floor, anything that the Senate is involved, to Chuck Schumer. And just like Massey goes on to say, he says, we have a rudder. We're steering everything toward what Chuck Schumer wants.
And that's true. And if you remember, man, back when they first got Johnson in there, what was the very first? There was something.
It was probably another CR that he keeps passing along.
Exactly. It was the CR. Because remember, we were supposed to close the border or
Yes.
get,
And he said he would do that.
And he said he would do it, and then he didn't. Same way with the FISA warrant, with the provision.
Exactly.
You know, the same way. He come out and said, we're going to shove this through, walks in there, comes back out. All of a sudden, now he's scared of everything.
I know,
man.
something happened. He's on the take.
Yep.
You know, I mean, he goes in the skiff, and all of a sudden he's changed his mind about everything. Why? What did they do? They showed you something about yourself. They threatened you. That's what I think.
Me too.
And that's what the majority of the GOP think.
Yep.
I mean,
that's the majority of the country. I believe
I believe that the Democrats don't give a crap.
I believe the majority of every one of these Congress members are on the take. Yes. Somehow or other, and that's all that this ever.
And they find some way to, ruin your life if you don't go along with what they want.
Right. But hey, at least he's stepping out in the right direction.
We give him kudos.
Let's support Representative Massey. Let's support Representative MTG on this.
Yeah. Very disappointed in our representative.
Yeah.
I wish he would stand up more, but he's a chicken.
Yeah, he is. He's useless.
He is useless. He's a useless tool.
So let's jump out and let's support these guys and let's speak loud for them, as we're doing here on this show, and as you do on Twitter each and every day, as you do on Facebook, any social media. Step out, man, and let's support these guys and let's show them, because
the people are with them.
The people and
100%.
everybody needs to know that.
And they keep coming out trying to say, "Oh, well, you're going to give Democrats the House, and you're going to lose a representative and the GOP majority." And you know what? They've been voting for Democrat priorities since the whole time. So, at this point, if you're going to be a GOP, act like one or get out.
That's it. And because of the fact that what we're seeing going on with President Trump, with the way that the judge is behaving and treating him.
Yes.
I'm telling you, if they get away with this, it's only a matter of time they're going to come after us. Which kind of leads us to what we watched last night. We watched a new powerful documentary called Chasing Trump. American Greatness put this out as their first documentary. Everyone needs to go watch this. It is at AmericanGreatness.com.
It was awesome. I mean, it was very powerful. It told 4 different stories. Well, if you really want to look at 4 same stories, 4 different DAs going after President Trump. In every single one of them, you could tell that it's all election interference. That's all it's about. It's about taking his money. It's about keeping him off the campaign trail. Mm-hmm. And it's about bullying him and saying, we're a boss and you're not.
That's right. And once they get away with that with him, man, they're going to try to do it to us.
And they are. But we're going to give you a little update on the key takeaways from the Trump trial yesterday. Key takeaways from day one from warroom.org. Check them out. They really have some good articles. key takeaways from the first day of President Trump's hush money trial include difficulty in jury selection. Over half of the prospective jurors were dismissed due to concerns about impartiality. None had ties to Trump or Michael Cohen.
Bless your hearts, people of New York, because really,
Thank you for being honest.
yeah, I figured this would have took 12 questions and it would have been done like that.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, really,
Yeah.
I did.
I worry about those that are still there, though. Sometimes I get, you don't trust anything that Democrats do or anything in New York City at all. So much so that you don't trust the jurors now that are still there.
Maybe you did need maybe you did need a partial juror on there. Maybe you
Maybe
needed
because they
3
know
or
they would
4
listen
or
more.
5 of them. Maybe you do. Maybe that's it. Maybe that is what we need.
Maybe
You know
it
what I
is.
mean? Yeah.
Maybe we could change their mind. Give them the, if they allow, a lot of times they don't allow President Trump to give all of his evidence.
Exactly.
They hide it.
Exactly. Another key takeaway that's mentioned here, the defense strategy to slow proceedings. The defense aims to preserve issues for appeal, leading to expected objections and sidebars. This aligns with Trump's broader legal tactic of delaying proceedings, particularly with the 2024 election looming. Sure, he wants to delay these things.
Yes.
I would too.
Well, think about it, man. If he goes to jail, he certainly can't, because they're going to put him in jail.
Yeah.
That's their goal.
That is their goal.
Is to put him in jail. So he wants it to stretch it out so that it goes past November.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know that they can do that, and I know this judge probably isn't going to allow it.
And also, we all know about the gag order that's been placed on him.
Yeah, unconstitutional gag order.
So prosecutors are seeking sanctions against him for discussing case details in violation of a gag order. And he has a hearing coming up next Tuesday.
Yes, for this gag order. I heard the DA was asking for every time he violates the gag order, he's to pay $1,000 or something like that.
It's just nuts, man. And so here's the last part. The testimony allowance and evidentiary rulings.
Just what I was talking about.
This is the craziest part now. They bring up more evidence in the trial after it's begun. Where was discovery? Should this be allowed?
See, that's just it. And that's what President Trump continues to complain about. It's the fact that he didn't even get discovery till the last minute. They had 30,000 pieces of paper to go through.
Yeah.
So that isn't even constitutional either.
No. Again, his due process is being violated. The J6 defendant's due process has been violated. And I'm telling you, I sound like I'm beating a dead horse over here. But if they take his due process away from him, they take due process away from all those J6 prisoners, man, I'm telling you, they're going to come after you. They're going to come after me.
Yes, they are. I do want to give a shout out to Laura Loomer.
Always.
She did a rally in front of the court yesterday, and she was spot on. She is there again today. If you're on X, please support her in any way you can. Repost everything that she does. Be a warrior for Laura Loomer, because she is a warrior right now at New York City. And
she can get out there, but bless her heart, her intentions are good.
They really are.
Yeah.
They really are good. But she puts into perspective for everybody. On one of her posts, if you'll go look under her post, she puts into perspective the criminality, really, of all of these judges and where they lead back to. George Soros and Lauren Mershon are the two most lead back to people in this whole triangle, if you want to call it that, because it's really a square. There's that many people that are involved.
Yep. In a correct and justice-seeking world, and in a correct court system and a justice-seeking system, he would be immediately recused based on Lauren Mershon to begin with.
Yes, he would.
That would have had. There shouldn't have been no doubt and no question about this. This is.
You know what I don't get, what I don't understand, and no, I'm not a lawyer, and I don't know. I don't even pretend to know any of that stuff.
Right.
But I wonder why you go to the judge you're trying to change things from. Why do you go to him and not someone else? I don't understand, because he denies everything. They had to go to him to try to recuse him. Like, what?
Right. And even if you disagree with the ruling on the recusal, why can't you immediately appeal and step to the next higher court? Why can't you immediately do that?
Yes.
How come that has to be a process that you wait on and this starts? That defeats the whole purpose.
Yes, it does.
You know?
I mean, the change of venue it should all have worked. I mean, if you had your due process, if he had his due process, then he would have a fair judge that would, I mean, because all they do is they just like, he just rails against everything. No, he is an American individual, a citizen of America.
Yeah. Seeking justice in a court.
Yes, and they don't care. They do not care at all. It's very upsetting. And they will, like James said a while ago, it will happen to you. Just like it's happened to these January 6 people. Like James brought up, the Supreme Court is hearing arguments on a January 6 case today. Yeah, Fischer versus U.S. And the Supreme Court will consider this Tuesday, which is today, the Fischer versus U.S. and rooting for the government to lose requires no sympathy for the MAGA mob. Listen to the way they talk about MAGA.
Yeah.
I mean, they just immediately in this article, this is Wall Street Journal, by the way, Fox News.
Yeah.
Okay. So, I mean, they already come out and say MAGA mob. Joseph Fischer, who is taking this case to the Supreme Court, and they have picked it up. He says in his brief that he arrived late to the Capitol, spent 4 minutes inside, then exited after the weight of the crowd pushed him toward a police line where he was pepper sprayed. The feds tell an uglier tale, of course, because that's what they do.
Mm-hmm. And to me, as you read through that complete paragraph there, the thing that stood out to me the most is they're going to consider this case, Fischer versus U.S., and rooting for the government to lose requires no sympathy for the MAGA mob.
None.
Really? So the government wins regardless?
Yes.
No.
That's what they're saying.
That is exactly how we're being treated.
Yes, it is.
You can take us to court, but you don't win. That is exactly the message that we're being told.
Mm-hmm. They're being told that because, they have it all in the media and they have the narrative. So we can take it to court and we can actually win because they cheated in some fashion.
Okay. Yeah. And here's the context of his entire case here in front of the Supreme Court. This is why we bring this up. It says, Mr. Fischer, who was a local cop in Pennsylvania, this is some of the things that he said. Take Democratic Congress to the gallows, he wrote in a text message. Can't vote if they can't breathe, ... LOL. The government says he crashed into a police line after charging it. Mr. Fischer was indicted for several crimes, including assaulting a federal officer. If true, perhaps he could benefit from quiet time in a prison library, reading the 2020 court rulings dismantling the stolen election fantasy. This is coming from Wall Street Journal.
Yeah, man, this is nuts. See, this is what they think that if you go in there and you read their court rulings dismantling the stolen election fantasy, it's not a fantasy.
Indoctrination. Go in there. But
yeah, it's indoctrination.
Yeah. Basically, the statements that they're using from him,
there's no context.
They're taken out of context. Exactly. They're taken out of context.
So I'm glad the Supreme Court really took this up. We're going to be paying attention to it. It goes on, it's an opinion piece, so you're going to get a lot of left-wing talking points because they really want you to believe that these January 6 people were there to take over the country, and they were not. They were there protesting an election that they didn't think was fair.
That's all they were doing, redressing their grievances.
And that is legal, not illegal.
That is what the whole First Amendment, the whole Constitution is based upon.
That's right.
Being able to have free speech and the right to redress the grievances.
That's exactly right. So we're going to be watching that. But in the interim, we are going to go down to the border because we haven't talked about the border yesterday.
No, we haven't.
We didn't talk about the border yesterday, and that is on us. So here we go. This is what's going on at the border. Oversight Project posted a thread on X that is very interesting, and it goes to show you and everyone out there that's listening that everything we've been saying about the Biden administration and illegals, aliens voting in our elections come 2024 is true.
Exactly.
So this conspiracy theory that they come out with, and they spent all that time, all last week, with all the bots and all the narratives. Oh, it's illegal for migrants that don't have a what they call it, driver's license. It's illegal without an ID.
Without an ID.
You know, they can't vote. It's illegal without an ID. It's already a law. It's illegal over and over and over and over. You've seen it under every post, on every newspaper.
Yep. It's also illegal to vote dead people's names too, but you do it every election.
Right. That's exactly right. But they are planning, and they have been telling these illegal migrants to come over here. And this is what she says on here. These flyers were discovered by @RealMuckraker throughout the Resource Center Matamoros, which is in parentheses RCM, location, including on the walls of porta potties. These also appear to be handed out when illegal aliens use the RCM for assistance in coming to the USA. What this is these are NGOs. This is an NGO who found a letter, and the flyer reads, "Reminder to vote for President Biden when you are in the United States. We need another 4 years of his term to stay open."
Uh-huh.
There it is, right there. They're telling them, and these flyers are everywhere. Like she said, they're in the porta potties for them to see. And the founder, her name is Gabby Zavala, and she implied that she wants to help as many illegals as possible before President Trump is reelected. RCM bills itself as an operation which houses functions for HIAS, which me and you have talked about many times, which helps illegal aliens enter the United States.
A good point in this is Department of Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas, who is facing an impeachment now.
Yes. Oh, and by the way, they're supposed to take them impeachment things to the Senate today.
Right. And so he is also a former board member of the HIAS, which is the Hebrew Immigrant Aid Society, and he has received numerous grants from the Soros Open Society Foundation over the years. Remember back a couple months ago when Laura was down there on location at the Panama Canal in the Darien Gap, and she brought up HIAS over and over and over again and tied it all back to Secretary Mayorkas.
Yes, and George Soros.
Yes. There's your proof right there in writing, and there's a statement from the founder?
The founder of RCM.
Yeah.
She's the founder of RCM, what works with HIAS.
Yep. And and RCM is a resource center, Matamoros.
That's exactly right. And they have significant ties to the Soros-funded nonprofits operating in the United States, including Save the Children, Team Brownsville, Texas, and Angry Tias and Abuelas.
So if you see any of these NGOs out there,
they're Soros-funded.
Confront them.
Yes.
Walk up to them and confront them.
Yeah, they don't like that.
This is what needs to happen. We need to be personally in these people's faces, calling these people out, man. People more than Laura Loomer. People more than Nick Sorter. People more than Ben Berquam. You know, any of them. It needs to be Denise and James. It needs to be John Smith. It needs to be Jane Doe. It needs to be those people out there in these people's faces.
Yes. Citizen investigators.
Yes.
That's what we are. I mean, we're not a journalist, and we have been researching a lot of stuff and coming up with our analysis and everything. But man, what's so sad is the Save the Children received over $650,000 from the Soros Open Society Foundation and has provided grants to Team Brownsville. These people are paying for Texas's demise.
Yeah.
They just are. For our country's demise.
Right.
I mean, but there's a lot of them in Texas. They're all over Texas.
Hey.
And money is flowing to them.
Here's a good solution to that. At least it would solve our problem in this state temporarily. How about we just ban NGOs? How about we put a statewide ban on NGOs?
I think they should be banned.
And tell them, if you want to do this, you got to cross the border over there to go do it.
Yeah.
How effective would they be from that point? And then tell them, hey, from that point forward, we're going to keep our border closed. You better have the proper paperwork, or guess what? That cat don't come across this border. I mean, there's so many easy, simple things to do that I see anyway. But what do I know? That's why I'm sitting here talking to you people.
Yeah. Well, the thread goes on and it gives minute details of all the partners and what Mayorkas is involved in, what Gabby Zavala has been organizing. If you want to check her out, I'll leave the link on our page and you just check them out because this is really important stuff. And no one is sharing it. The only place you can find information, good information, real information is on X right now.
It is.
I mean, I'm just going to, say that. I used to hate X, but honestly, it's the only place to get real information.
Yep.
And while we're down here in Texas on the border, we are going to talk about our favorite person to talk about outside of President Trump. Now, President Trump is our favorite, but our second favorite, or first favorite in Texas, is definitely our Attorney General here, Kim Paxton.
You bet.
But here we go again. Kim Paxton is being harassed by the Texas State Bar. But we are so thankful for the AGs who are standing in the breach. If it wasn't for them and the rest of the coalition, I'm telling you, I don't know where. They've just harassed him so much. I'm not surprised. Let's put this out there. And probably he isn't either. But the National Coalition of Attorneys Generals files amicus brief condemning Texas State Bar for baseless lawfare weaponized against Texas OAG leadership. And it really is sad that they just can't stop. They just can't. They can't stop because we keep winning and they don't like us winning. But the case originated in response to complaints against First Assistant Webster and Attorney General Paxton for their decision to file landmark litigation known as Texas versus Pennsylvania regarding the 2020 election. Attorney General Kim Paxton faces similar baseless allegations in a separate case. And they're going to try to take his license and his people in his office or whatever. But they have done this, and they're continuing to do this. They did this to John Eastman and Jeff Clark.
Mm-hmm.
And anyone that went against the 2020 election, they are going after because they stole the 2020 election, and everyone knows it, including Jeff Clark, John Eastman, Kim Paxton, President Trump. He's in jail. I mean, he's in court every single day because these people know what they did to him. And if he makes it back into office, and if he uses any of the people that also understand the election was stolen, they are going to jail. They're going to prison because the people demand it. We demand that you go to prison for stealing an election and cooing America.
Yep.
In front of the people's eyes, and then you go and you put them in jail.
And tell us your version of what you think happened when
we know different.
We all sat here and watched it with our own eyes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's the thing. They would, I'm telling you, a lot of these cult members, they would go to their damn grave before they'd ever admit it. I'm telling you.
Yeah, I know. But Kim Paxton, he says, thank you to my fellow attorney generals for siding with law and order. The state bar is using a disgraceful tactic, weaponizing politically motivated lawfare to intimidate elected leaders and their staff from upholding the Constitution when it inconveniences their political agenda. This attempt to punish First Assistant Attorney General Webster and me for standing up for our country, our state, and our citizens will not succeed. We thank you, sir. We thank you, and we're there with you the whole time, and we'll do whatever it takes to help you out. You know we will. So we're going to end with this today. Y'all heard about the bridge blockades that's been going on? The pro-Palestinian Golden Gate Bridge thing. Okay, on Monday, anti-Israel protesters disrupted traffic on the Golden Gate Bridge. They held a banner reading, "Stop the World for Gaza," across the southbound lanes, causing significant delays. The demonstration was part of a larger movement advocating for a ceasefire in Gaza.
And so Tom Cotton had to come out and give his opinion on this. And we kind of looked at it. Well, I laughed at it because I thought it's hilarious that somebody's actually saying it now. Somebody in leadership is actually saying it now. And to be truthful, this is probably the way a lot of us feel.
You think he was just talking off the cuff, maybe?
Yeah, I would hope so. But he goes, and this is coming from Simon Atiba. He goes, this is just in, and this was This was yesterday. But he said, Senator Tom Cotton, a lifelong member of the First United Methodist Church of Dardanelle, Arkansas, writes, I encourage people who get stuck behind the pro-Hamas mobs blocking traffic, take matters into your own hands to get them out of the way. It's time to put an end to this nonsense. Senator Cotton, I couldn't agree more. and that's probably the same approach that 95% of the people out here would take, but I don't think it's the smartest choice because it might land your ass in jail.
And if you go out here and you tell these crazy Americans to do that, they're going to go do that.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, they're like, hey, Senator Tom Cotton said it. There you go. And then maybe you're up for problems. But I get it. You know, eventually we have to do something about this.
Eventually we have to. And that's kind of my point with that, saying that probably 95% of us, that's the struggle that we have if we think about this.
Yeah.
Is we look at this kind of thing and we see what he says, and our immediate reaction is, hell yeah, we ought to run over him. Same thing with what we were talking about with Klaus Schwab this morning. You know,
Yes.
He's in the hospital, he's ill. Hey, we all know all the damage that this guy has done to our world. And our first response when we hear, oh, he's in the hospital and he ain't doing good, your first response is like, well, good. You know, good.
About time.
But that's where we struggle as who we are as compared to who they are.
That's exactly right.
Because even though the man has done a lot of shit and destroyed our world and our country, he's done his part to help destroy this. We as good, decent people shouldn't wish ill upon him. If we do, we're just like them. And that's the struggle that we have.
We do have that. I have it every single day. I have to watch it. You know, I call them commie, you know, Democrats, commie leftists, you know, commie New York City, you know, but I don't wish evil on any of them. I don't wish ill will is what I meant.
Exactly.
I don't wish any harm
Exactly.
on any of them. I just want them to stop their stuff. Stop, you know, not listening to the people. Stop.
Yep.
Stop getting out in the middle of America and saying you hate America. Stop death to America. Stop trying to take over our country.
Exactly.
Stop trying to make America like the UK. We're not like them.
Russia or China. Quit trying to make us like all of that.
We're not. We're Americans, and we want America first, and we love America the way it is.
That's what's always been great about America is our what? Our exceptionalism. Is this thing working?
Rise up.
Well, hey, everybody, that's it for today. Thanks for listening, and I hope you've enjoyed the show. Hope you've learned some things about what's going on around us in the nation and in your communities. You know, we couldn't do this without your continued support either. We appreciate all of you showing up, taking the time to listen to us today. So please, like I say, make sure to hit the like button, share our show with all your friends. We'll see you next time on Is This Thing Working? And as always, I'm James, and that's my lovely co-host over there,
Denise.
and we'll see you next time.
We're out.